Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and thank you for 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Oh my gosh! So I'm glad that y'all enjoy my ramblings here in my corner office next to my shouty window. I'm so glad. I was told a while back that I needed to watch Promare. I've been told by several people to watch Promare, a lot of people, and I had no clue what it was. I was like, what is this? And then someone finally said, oh, it's a movie, but it has 2 OVAs with it, and it's tied to a game. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not a big gamer. Like, the only games I do are, like, old school Nintendo, like Pokemon, Sega, Sonic, and, you know, Crash Bandicoot, stuff like that. I'm not a big gamer. But I've been told that this is Studio Trigger's work, that's really good. The movie's really great. It's like a 2-hour movie. And so I was like, sure, if I get 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'll watch it. And here we are. So, luckily, I went out and bought the Blu-ray. Got me the Blu-ray. And so, on the Blu-ray, luckily, there is the 2 OVAs. So I don't have to go hunt them down. I don't have to go to any sketch sites because I'm supporting the official release. Right? So I am going to watch this in the Japanese sub as it was originally intended because I don't know anything about the dub. If y'all recommend it, I may go back and rewatch in the dub. But I'm going to do the original Japanese sub for the 2 OVAs. Unless it said on here the 2 OVAs were, it said 2 Galo and Lio short films with English dub. So I don't know if I set my settings to Japanese with English subs, but I don't know if it'll do that for the OVAs. Very curious. So it may not. So we'll just roll with it, right? But I'm pretty excited. I don't know who Galo and Lio are, but I'm pretty interested in knowing who these 2, you know, opposite-looking characters are for this movie and these 2 OVAs. So I'm pretty excited. So we're going to watch the OVAs first. Then I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we'll watch the 2 movies. As always, I got my notes because it's a long movie, so I want to take notes, and then I'll come back and discuss later. So, yeah. Let's get started, shall we? I've been asked, what will I do after this for the next sub goal? You know what? My brother is a huge League of Legends fan. My brother plays League of Legends. My brother is a gamer, and he plays League of Legends, and he keeps telling me about Arcane. He keeps going on and on about it and be like, you need to watch Arcane. Let's watch Arcane. So you know what? If I get 3,500 subs on YouTube, I'll watch Arcane. I'll just start watching it on a weekly thing, and we'll just go from there. So yeah, that'll be the next thing. So y'all just help me out, I guess. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, for listening to my ramblings, for all the support, and for being so nice. That makes me really happy, and I really appreciate it. So with that being said, let us start this business, shall we? Let's do this. We are going to watch Galo, the OVA, first, and we are going to start that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Ah! I was so mad because y'all I'm going to put it in the reaction, but right at the part where Lio was getting broke out of the ice, where the flames were all, like, the Promare was all coming in and he was breaking out of the ice, this Blu-ray stopped, and I tried, I think, 15 times to get it to go back to that exact moment, and it would not do it. I tried ejecting it, I tried everything, and it wouldn't do it. So I apologize that I had to skip that, like, 10 seconds, but I tried everything. I was so pissed. I was like, no! So I'm going to have to go back this and watch this on my own time to see those 10 seconds that I missed. But this was so good. This was so good. I took notes. This was, for being a self-contained movie, for being a self-contained movie and OVA, it gave you an entire storyline, entire setup. I watched Empire of Corpses back in October for Halloween, and Empire of Corpses was a good film, but there was clearly lots of plot and stuff that they didn't have time to animate and they left out. So, but this felt like a full-blown, full-on story, had characters, had backstory. The OVAs, I'm glad I watched those first to get the backstory on Lio and the backstory on Galo. But, like, everything had fleshed out. I would argue, obviously, the third act of anything is hard, especially when it's an action, because it's like you gotta pull out all the stops, you gotta just make it all come together at the end and somehow work out, and the literal Deus Ex Machina, which I'm glad that this movie is very self-aware of what it is and the nomenclature and everything. I'm glad that it's very self-aware. I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, so for some reason, it reminded me a lot of Attack on Titan in a way, and I'm only like into part 2 of season 3, so don't spoil me on Attack on Titan. But I do see the moral ambiguity of it, the moral ambiguity, and the idea that there's two sides of the story. So you had the government side, and you get why at the beginning you saw all the destruction that was being caused from the flames, and so it would be obvious why the government and Cray leading it would want to get the people that are Burnish off the streets. Like you'd get that, but then you find out, okay, there's more to it than that. They're not just sending them to concentration camps, basically, but they're also, they call them detention camps, but it's like, but also they're literally using them as fuel for a ship and a warp drive to take a ship into outer space. Great. But then you get to see their side of the story, that they're just humans, that they were just subjected, and they were, how did they phrase it? They were subjected and more prone for the Promare to take over, to use as hosts. So they didn't really have any control over it. It just happened. And they were just trying to live out their lives. And I love Lio. I thought at the beginning of this that Lio was going to be like the big, like, tsundere, like, angsty, like, you don't understand and I'm evil, the villain. No. He's like the guy that has the ideals, like, let's just build a society and we want to we don't want to harm anybody or kill anybody. He, like, had the idealistic thing, and then everything goes to hell, and so when he breaks back out, he's like, well, I'm gonna kill Cray, and then Galo's like, no, you're not. God, I love Lio. Galo is our sweet, sweet cinnamon bun himbo that just, he tries. He's so cheesy, and when he does the naming of all the different things, oh my gosh, I have my notes here. I love Leo's design. It was like Mad Max. It was like Mad Max from, the 80s, not Fury Road, but like the leather and everything. Mad Max 2 is what it reminded me of. Like all the leather, the motorcycle. I love the kind of geometric shapes of everything. So freaking cool. But yeah, him just trying to make a home for humanity that had been turned into Burnish. And then, yeah, the whole parallel universe thing. I was kind of, in that moment, as we were getting exposition of Jutsu, I was kind of like Galo. I was like, okay, we have to explain this somehow, right? So yeah, we get Varys, Remy, Ignis, Aina. Aina was probably Lio and Galo are definitely my faves. Aina's probably my third fave. I love her. She could have had a thing with Galo if he wasn't clearly into Lio. They kind of shot that in the foot right off the bat, right? But I like Lucia and Remy. They're probably my next favorites. I like Remy's design with the glasses and the bowl cut. And then Lucia grew on me with Vinny, her little mouse, grew on me as it went along. And then I really like Guerra and May's design. For some reason, I know Studio Trigger does this. The way that the characters were drawn remind me of Daokusei in the weirdest ways. I'm like, this is the farthest thing removed from Daokusei, but it reminded me a little bit about it. It was kind of like the way that the characters were drawn, especially Guerra, the way that he was designed. Galo with his balls to the walls. That's his phrase. I'm like, oh, honey, our firefighter idiot. I absolutely love him. I love how pure he is. So pure and simple. He just wants to do good, but he is sensible. As Aina says, he is a sensible person. He does make good decisions. And then him and Lio just won over Leo's heart with his sensibility. I did not like Vulcan at all. Vulcan, I was like, nah. Even when they tried to make the joke that he's a little person at the end, I was like, no, it's not funny, and I don't like it. So, he was the only character, him and Cray. I was like, of course, Cray being the obviously not antagonist, I was wondering how they were going to go back and talk about him rescuing Galo, and at the end, it was all just circumstance. He just did it to make himself look better and to hide the fact that he was a Burnish. I wondered if he was a Burnish or if he was... For a second, I thought maybe he had some, special freeze power, and that's what happened, but no, it wasn't. And then Ina's sister, Harris, being the scientist. At first, when she's, fired up the engines again, I'm like, what are you doing? But then it was all to overload them and to ride them out, yeah. The skate scene between Galo and Ina was really cool, and I like the way that the whole underground base of Prometheus, was all in the ice, and our poor boy Galo, he's like, I dug down 5 meters and I still couldn't get to the bottom of it, and it turns out it was all just a base. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Lucky coincidence, we'll talk about that. But I really like the skating scene with Galo and Ina. That was really, really cool. And then we get information about and And I like that Galo is so loyal that he doesn't want to hurt Cray. And then he just gets straight up betrayed by him. It's like, geez. But the idea that the flames are alive, and that was established early on in the movie. The flames were alive, and they're basically using the humans as hosts. And they persuade them to do things, like to burn hotter, to destroy things. Like, it's all like basically aliens. So I felt like the guy from BBC was like, basically aliens, or National Geographic. So, Thyma, I felt so bad for Thyma dying. The scientist girl at the end, that was heartbreaking. And what a setup. I wondered if there was ever going to be a payoff with the kiss, right? Because he tries to feed the flame back into her to get, like, because it's like the flame dies out and then she just turns to ash. So Lio was trying to, like, bolster the flame to get her to, like, light back up, and it was too late. It didn't work. But I thought about that. I was like, that's so sad. And I'm like, I wonder if they'll do anything with that. Will this show go there? They did. And I loved it. I was like, yes, yay, 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 yay. But the idea of Galo saying that when he took the medal back and he told Cray that neither was worthy, like, at that moment, I really liked Galo's character. Because at first he kind of comes across as like the dumb idiot that you're like, are you going to be oblivious to everything? It's just like the Sawamura, Ace of the Diamond, like, ha, 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 laugh. And then the moment that he gives the medal back, and he's like, neither of us are worthy because you're clearly hurting these people, and I don't want to be a part of it. It's like, oh, Galo, my dude. So then we have the basically Noah's Ark, the Noah's Ark, and then establishing that they're going to just pick 10,000 people and just fly off to the other side of the world. But the funny thing is that Cray was a Burnish then, so he had all this equipment to fight Burnish because he was going to go there himself, and if it happened to spread, he was just going to keep quiet and just get rid of all the other Burnish except himself, which is interesting. But the sacrificing the Burnish to make the engine, that was nightmarish. That was awful. Like, what the heck? That was so terrible. Like using people as test subjects and just showing how crazy it was. I was like, oh no, I don't like this at all. But yeah, poor Galo, like, realizing the truth and everything. That phrase, never meet your heroes. That kind of comes completely full circle with Galo and Cray there. Which, with a name like Cray Foresight, I mean, let's be real. And then they established, like, a week's gone by, and then Ina still, like, confronts Harris about it. And Harris just wanted to save her sister. And, like, all these characters, they get fleshed out. There's motivations. There's reasons why they're doing different things. Even Galo, who is, like, a simple and pure protagonist, like you'd expect in like a shonen or something, he's very sensible and has a kind heart. And he's not entirely stupid. Like, he's smart enough to do things. Smart enough to come up with great names for things. But yeah, I was so mad that the whole, right when I got to the part where Lio was in prison because they had the bullet that kept turning him to ice, and right at the part where the Promare made contact with him. That's what he was telling Galo at the end there. The Promare connected with Lio and was like, you're like the strongest one left, so we're gonna boost you up so that you can help us. And the moment he busted out, it just, like, it froze and it wouldn't go any further. So I apologize. I'm going to have to go back and watch that on my own time. But I literally tried 15 different times to keep going back and forth. Like, there's probably 45 minutes of footage edited out of this where I'm just sitting there going, like, just very frustrated, right? But the fire dragon, I love that when he, like, closed the eye on the fire dragon, the pupil closed on Vulcan. That was freaking cool. Galo, I love that Galo, he challenges him. He's like, I'll fight your spiteful flames. He's like, didn't you say you were going to kill anybody within reason? It's like, and then they go into the hidden lake and meet Deus Prometheus. Deus Prometheus, the nomenclature in this, where he's like, it's the Deus Ex Machina. I was like, I'm done. At that point, I was like, okay, sure. So Promare is the aliens. They're the Promare. And basically they, like, through parallel universe, multiverse thing, they basically just joined up with the Earth, and that's why everything's been out of sync. And there's been, like, just tug of war between the Promare and Earth, and the realities are tugging back and forth, right? And so that's what's causing the eruptions and everything to go unstable. and the distortion in the time-space continuum. It felt very Doctor Who. And then they're like, well, basically, if we don't get them back into their own universe, they're going to destroy ours. And they've been inhabiting people as a means of just trying to survive. So it's like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, Cray turning out to be a burnish. That was great. I love that the Prometheus guy, they're like, how'd you know our names? And he's like, well, I've hacked the computer. I did the surveillance. I figured out who you were. They're like, how'd you know we were going to land in the lake? He's like, I didn't. It was just, it was fate. And they're like, well, if we hadn't landed in the lake, he's like, well, we would have been doomed. So I like that the show at least is self-aware enough to call it out. It's like, yeah, it was pretty much fate and coincidence. Otherwise, we'd all die. So glad it worked out. I love that. And of course, the computer gets destroyed so that it can't happen again or anything else. The Lio de Gallon. I was like, oh, I called the Galo de Leon. I love it. I love that they flip-flop and they end up doing both by the end of it. So great. But yeah, them choosing to fight together to stop the fire and to help out save humanity. So good. And then the names of all of the weapons, I wrote them on my notes, but I'm sorry, the genocide cultivation beam. At that point, I lost it. I was like, and I'm done. The genocide cultivation beam. Ridiculous. I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, Cray turning out to be a burnish. And then I was like, is this show, because they built up that kiss, I'm like, is this show going to go for it? Because I am 100% here for it. I'm on the Lio Galo bandwagon. And yeah, when Lio started turn to ash, I'm like, no. For a second, I thought Lio was going to die. And I was like, no, how dare they? But no. He used his flames to surround Galo and protect him, the green flames. And then Galo had a little bit left, and him putting it, he could have just used his hand. No. No, he kissed him, and it was so glorious. And my favorite part is that at the end, he was like, you think he's freaking out because he kissed Lio, but at the end, he's like, I started a fire. And it's like, it's love, damn it. I needed this in my system. Y'all recommended this for reasons, and I love you for it, so thank you. I'm going to watch this again, just for the record, only so I can see that final scene again in full. But yeah, there was the kiss. And then I love at the end, so they basically, using the Galo de Leon, they basically jettisoned the Promare back to their own universe. The Burnish are all gone, and now Earth is pretty much in shambles. But Galo's like, it's all right. We'll just put out some fires and start some reconstruction. It'll all be great. You'll help out, Lio. I love it. I absolutely love it. This was wonderful. So thank you. Thank you all for recommending Promare. This was the best 2 hours ever that I've had in a while. So it was great. And I'm excited that I have the Blu-ray now and I can go back and watch it. So you best be believing I'm going to be looking up lots of fan art for Lio and Galo and drawing and sketching these two because it needs to happen. So thank you all again for 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like I said, if I get to 3,500, I'll start watching Arcane because my brother will not leave me alone. He's a big League of Legends player, and he's like, you need to see it. And I was like, okay, fine. So if I get to that, then I'll start it. But in the meantime, thank you all again for listening to my ramblings, for watching my reactions with me. I love talking about these shows and these manga with you, so I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll talk to y'all again soon with more reactions.